Can we talk about how it ended? I was so disturbed.
Nope, they gotta wait for part 2.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the thing about it that disturbed me the most, for some reason, like, normal everyday people started popping into my head. Because you just don't ever know, like, when, and obviously to a much smaller degree, but the way that women do it too, but because I don't date women, I'm gonna talk about the men.
Right.
The way that men manipulate in different kinds of ways. So, like, it may not be for money, but it might be for, we got little ears here. But she went to go pick
it might be for the other pocketbook.
Yeah, it might be for the other pocketbook, for the baked goods.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like you just never know when someone is manipulating you or conning you to get something they want. Because I feel like there's a lot of men out there, there are a lot of damaged men. And again, women do this too. But a lot of damaged people that will use other people so quick in order to get whatever needs they feel like they need met by many different people met. Yeah. And they'll go to extremes. And I found that to be so incredibly disturbing. So disturbing.
And the fact that he pretty much went to jail for a little bit.
Like, how long did he go to jail again?
I don't know. It seemed like 2 seconds.
I mean, it was like 5 years or something stupid.
But then got out.
And then got all kinds of deals. So now he's actually living the life legitimately. I just don't get it.
I still would question if it's even fully legitimate. I think it probably is. Well, here's the
twisted part, though, is that even in this world, you do all the wrong things. If you get any type of like media spotlight, then you're going to get all kinds of brand deals and all kinds of opportunities for doing the wrong thing. Yeah. So it's like, I believe that it's real just because they don't, like, a lot of these brands and stuff and these companies don't care why you're famous, as long as you are famous and you can get their product out there. So guarantee that so many people are following him. And I bet you anything, there's so many people who actually look up to him. I haven't. Have you?
No.
I haven't. I'm Instagram? Curious. Probably.
What's his name?
Simon.
Is he still going by the fake name? Because it wasn't even his real name.
I assume so. Simon Leviv. I forgot.
And then it's are any of these real?
Oh, there's all kinds of fake accounts and stuff, huh? I bet you if you Google Tinder Swindler real Instagram, it'll pop up or something. Lord. But that's the scary thing, is how many people are actually like legitimately doing manipulative things like this, but maybe not to that grand, not to that, level of grandness, if that makes sense. But
you know what makes me, and trigger warning, this, what I'm getting ready to say might be offensive. I'm getting ready to say something that's racially related. So I'm sorry to any white person who's listening that may be offended. It's not my intention, but I do want to say, because I do watch so many documentaries, I've really noticed that a lot of the people who are successful as con artists are white people. And there's something about it that just really rubs me the wrong way, because it's almost like people are just a lot more trusting of them because they're white. Like, I always wonder, would a black person be able to get that far with some of the stuff these people are doing? Not even necessarily with the Tinder Swindler, but have you seen, they're actually getting ready to make a movie about it on Hulu called The Dropout, I think. Did you see the story of the white lady who started that company where you could test your blood
Okay, that's on Hulu.
Home.
Yeah.
And then she made this whole thing. She was making like
that's
literally
okay.
the
I was
whole
like, I'm gonna watch
time
that next. Yeah.
she was lying.
Really?
To these people, but people were investing all this money. Like, she was showing no proof that anything that she was saying was true, viable, tested, or anything, and people were still throwing millions of dollars at her. The same for Firefest. The same for this company called WeWork. There's a documentary about that one. You'll have to look up that. The same for LuLaRoe.
I watched that documentary. I had to stop. I had to stop watching that. I was like, this is too much.
That one made me laugh. Because we both are very familiar with direct sales and stuff like that.
So and I know some people who invested into that company when it was good.
I have LuLaRoe stuff that I bought that I love.
Yeah, they were so great. But to hear that story and how I didn't know it fell apart like that. I thought it just kind of faded out.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, I just hate that people. I still feel like we're in a type of society where certain types of people are able to get over on people just because people look at them and say, oh, you look a certain way. You seem to be more trustworthy. Don't assume that somebody is trustworthy because of the way they look. Actually, do your due diligence to make sure they're trustworthy. But I have mentioned this to you earlier. The thing that made me the saddest about how the Tinder swindler ended was that those women were still on the hook for all of the money that he conned them out of because their name was on everything. If you haven't watched it, they were basically increasing like their own credit card limits and letting him use their credit cards, or they were applying for other lines of credit and loans and stuff like that in their own name and then giving him access to that money or access to those credit accounts. So the creditors are not necessarily considering that as fraud or theft because they willingly signed up for it and willingly let him use it. So at that point, it's almost like a gift.
Right. Because if you approve it, then, I mean, they're not legally responsible.
Yeah. And then the first lady thought she was going to get in trouble because he had, the swindler man had recommended to her to do something fraudulent, to submit this fraudulent documentation to American Express so that they would raise her credit limit. Because she's like, I don't think they're going to raise my credit limit because I don't make enough money.
Her a pay stub or something.
Yeah, so he was making like fake pay stubs for her so that they would increase her limit. So by the time that she realized she had, been scammed and everything, and again, yay for her because she had to dig deep because she had to tell the people, I knowingly gave you guys fraudulent documents.
Oh my God. Which is terrifying to say, to admit.
Yeah.
Like after the fact. Because I'm imagine because it was like $90,000 a month or something like that. It wasn't like, an extra 20 G's. It was like $90,000 a month that it was looking like he was paying her from this business that didn't belong to him. Like, it's crazy.
But I know that's one thing. There's a show on Hulu, and I think it originally came on ABC called The Con. Have you ever seen that?
I don't know if I've seen it, but
I think it's narrated by Whoopi Goldberg, but it's kind of like this. It's talking about all these different people that have been conned in relationships and stuff like that. And that one is interesting too.
And it's like this is a documentary?
Yeah, it's like a docu-series. Yeah, that follows like different stories. I don't know if I should watch.
I'm already jaded about relationships.
It's so prevalent. And when I did... Oh, let me give you guys some facts and figures and some hard data. Because like I said, I did my little speech. The Federal Trade Commission, so y'all, the government agency, the FTC, has a whole romance crimes department.
Are you kidding me?
No, dead serious.
Wow, that's sad. That's sad.
There was, I think when I did I don't know if I still have it in my phone, but there had been like 50, Or was it 500? Hold on, let me see if I can find it. But millions and millions of millions, tens of millions of dollars a year that they invest. And that's just what they know about that people have reported.
Oh my gosh.
They said every age group is victim to it. The age group of like 19 to 26 had showed the biggest increase, actually.
That's when you believe in love and fairy tales and you're naive.
Well, they used to be the lowest ones to get scammed because I think probably the older people were seen as more desperate. But now people are targeting all age groups. So the 19 to 26 year olds showed the biggest increase of money that they lost between like 2019 and 2020. Because especially think the pandemic hit, people were at home. Online dating probably blew up and there were like a ton of targets. It still is the most prevalent in our age group. And
I just find that to be so sad.
It's still people who are older, so senior citizens, they still are the ones who end up losing the most money per average.
That makes sense.
It's like $9,000 on average that senior citizens are getting scammed out of.
And I've had quite a few clients of mine who have had parents who almost fell for it or did fall for it.
Yeah.
Because like they grew up in a time where none of this stuff exists. Like this wasn't a thing. At least not like this.
Yeah. So it's like that has to be a huge learning curve for
totally.
them. I was trying to see if that was still on my phone, but I think I quoted y'all right. I
just find it so sad, especially because I feel like it's still hard for me to wrap my mind around the fact that we're almost 40. That's first of all.
I know.
Second of all,
sure.
I find it so sad because I actually have a lot of single friends. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we're all in the same, well, not all of us. I feel like I'm probably the one that doesn't want the relationship, or I want a relationship the least. Mm-hmm. I think, and honestly, I'm going to be real and say that the reason why I am so besides the fact that I'm good, I'm in such a good place, is that I'm afraid of all this type of stuff. Because I've been with people who were manipulative in the past, and I see stories like this.
Yeah.
And it terrifies me, honestly, because it's like you legitimately never know what you're getting into when you meet somebody. And it doesn't matter if they go to church, that's worse. Okay.
Half the time.
Listen, my ex-husband was a man. He was in the church, and he was every single week. And that scares the mess out of me.
On a side note that I'll say about what Shanna just said, I have been teaching my daughters how to tell if a person has a relationship with God other than their church attendance. And one thing that I tell them, which is pretty much like the simplest thing, is to look for the fruit of the Spirit in that person. Because obviously that's really easy for them to understand. So I'm like, if someone goes to church, that doesn't necessarily mean they're a good or godly person.
Right.
But look for love, patience, peace, gentleness, kindness, all the fruits.
All the fruits.
If you can see evidence of that in the person, that's probably a better indicator of their relationship with God. But if they go to church all the time, but they're not kind to you, they're not patient, they're not loving, they're not generous, they're not, they're not any of those things, that's a good indication that they're probably just going for the religion aspect and not necessarily for the relationship with God. This is something I'll say. I don't know if I ever told you this story about something that happened in the dating group with Dating with Purpose. So I started this dating group on Facebook called Dating with Purpose, and it was essentially supposed to be like a Christian singles, not necessarily for people even to date or to hook up, but we would go on an outing once a month.
It was really great, actually.
Yeah, it was just a way because a lot of times what single people want is not necessarily a relationship. It's just a fellowship with other people. Because sometimes when you're our age or when you're older and a lot of people around you are married, sometimes when it comes time to go out or do something or have fun and you have other people that are couples, you get left out. Yeah. Like I'm one of the last of my friends that's single. I was like the first one to get married and everyone was single. But then since I got divorced, everyone started getting married and I'm single. So sometimes when they're doing things as couples, I don't get invited. Right. And so I was like, it would be great if I could just get a group of like-minded people, girls and guys, and we could just all get together and hang out. But there were two very con-inspired things that ended up coming out of that. One of the first things was when it was really starting to get off the ground and get a little bit of traction, there was a guy in the group that approached me about not about dating me, but about Airbnbs, about using these different locations for our meetups. Because we were meeting up at restaurants, but he was like, if you ever want to like level it up and like step it up, we could get you, into all of these fabulous different places, Airbnbs out on Geist Reservoir and these big houses and stuff like that. Like if you really want to do something special.
It sounds like a great idea.
Which sounds like a great idea. But usually when somebody approaches me with something that sounds like a great idea, my first thought is, that is not legit.
Right.
So I just asked him to give me more information. And he started talking about how he and his friend have, this property management, yada, yada, yada. Now, this may not be true for everyone. But when I hear people say they are a consultant or they manage different businesses and stuff like that, I already feel like they be full of crap. That usually means you don't have no job and you just doing what you can to do what you can do. So I was like, okay. So basically what he was trying to do was, instead of me booking these places through Airbnb, he wanted me to book and pay through him for their management company. And then he would take care of all of the details. You would just book it through us. You would, pay us. And then we would make sure, everything is together, set up, make sure that you guys have some extra perks there. You wouldn't have to worry about talking with, you wouldn't have to worry about anything. So, of course, I'm not stupid.
Right. That sounds like a terrible idea.
So I said, well, tell me, I said, can you send me like any pictures or like any more information? Because I honestly thought it was a cool idea.
But you might as well book through Airbnb
Right.
yourself.
I wouldn't have used him. But so, he was like, yeah, I can send you some information. Now, when I say, oh, I'm interested, send me some information, I'm thinking I want you to send me a website. A booking, something that looks legitimate. Okay. He started sending me like screenshots. Like he just went on Airbnb, screenshotted some properties and was like, here's some, properties that we have and stuff like that. Now, y'all know Google has like a reverse image search.
Oh, that's right. I need to know how to use that.
I think you can only do it like on your desktop or laptop. Yeah. So you can, if someone ever sends you a picture, you can look up that picture and see if other things come up to see if what they're really saying is legit. So basically he was just pulling pictures off. And then as I started to, because one thing you should always do to make sure you're not getting scammed, talk to other people. Like ask other people, hey, do you have any experience? Because I don't do like a whole lot of traveling or booking places. So it might be easy for me to get scammed because I don't have a lot of experience with that stuff. So I asked someone that I know that does a lot of booking with Airbnb, like when they travel. And I was like, does this sound right? Whatever. And they basically told me, no, like if anyone ever approaches you for that, don't do it, because then what the people will do, obviously, they take your money. You think everything is set up. They send you all this correspondence that looks legit. And then you get to the place and either maybe someone else might be there, or the owner might be like, I don't have any record that you paid, and now they've run off with your money, and they gonna make up some excuse like Simon was talking about with his enemies.
Well, to me, like, why would anybody, like, I would never, if I'm gonna book an Airbnb, I'm gonna book through Airbnb. Why would I book through you?
Yeah, it's almost like people like the concept of why use a travel agent. Like, why would I use a travel agent if I could book it myself? But, you know, travel agents can sometimes get special pricing or perks. So that's how he was trying to make it sound.
Gotcha.
Like there was going to be some kind of perk or special or discount because they do so many bookings. You know, instead of you paying this, I could get it for you at a little bit of a lower price. You would just pay. Like, anytime he was like, you would just pay us directly, I was like, red flag. Because I ain't about to send Johnny Joe Jameson.
Right. Like, here's my Cash App. Right. Like, what? Your Cash App.
And then the second thing that happened was someone who was in the group, a guy that I would not have been interested in anyway. He, not in a romantic way, even though he always tried to make it seem like there's just something about you, like, I could, you know, if he would, you know, when guys say wifey, for one, I hate that. That's like irritating to me. But he was like, you know, if you were wifey, I would make sure you had this and this and this. And I'm like, first of all, sir, your boobs are bigger than mine. So no. But he actually approached me, inboxed me asking for money, and had made up this story. I'll tell you who it is after, but had made up this story about him falling on hard times, and I don't want to give all the full details because just in case, I'm not trying to put this man on blast, even though people need to be put on blast. Yeah. And now I know a lot of people know here where we live. I know a lot of people know that he's pretty much a con artist, but he basically was telling this story about being sick and needing money because he was sick and he couldn't work, and because he is an entrepreneur. You know, a lot of times when you get sick, if you can't work, you ain't making no money.
That's for sure.
And, you know, I work in healthcare, so I'm like, I'm familiar with the resources that you can get if you honestly are sick or have cancer or have a chronic condition. So I was like, hey, contact the hospital where you're being seen and tell them this, and do this, and this. Like, I really was trying to help him, but it's like, I ain't about to send you no money.
Right. And
after I kind of hit him with some facts, he was just like, you know, thank you, and then never responded. But then fast forward like a year or so later, I am on vacation with my kids, and I get a call from my friend, and my friend is like, hey, you remember, so-and-so. I'm like, Is he legit? Because he's asking my friends. So this lady, this man that I'm talking about, he provides a service. Let's just say, I'm just going to call him a photographer. He has a photography business. How I met him was I saw him word of mouth on someone else that I know, social media. And so I was like, oh, I want to get together and get me and my friends a photo shoot. I'm going to use this guy. I use him with relative success. I pay him some money. He does what he's supposed to do. So my friends that were with me, then my friends start booking him for stuff. Then, you know, they tell some friends. And so, but what was happening was he would sometimes legitimately do what he was supposed to do, but then sometimes he wouldn't. So my friend had this other husband and wife that were people who were wealthy, and they booked him to do something, and where he came into their home to provide services. So now he sees that they're living lavishly. He ends up seeing how these people are living. He waits a little bit after he provides the services, and then he reaches out to them, asking them for money. I'm falling on hard times, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And thank God, the lady then reaches out to my friend who helped her make the connection and asks my friend, hey, how much do you know about this guy? Like, he's asking for us to help him, and they was going to help him. But she was like, I just want to know, it was the Holy Spirit, because we are all praying women. She was like, but I just wanted to check with you first to see how well you know him. And my friend started thinking, I really don't know him that well. Let me call Geraldine. And then she called me and I was like, no, tell your friend not to give him anything. Because then by that point, as like the year or so had passed that since I had used him, I had seen all these other stories of people's money he had taken and not provided any services. And I even had to tell my friend, like, I'm so sorry that y'all even know him because of me. Because I didn't know that he was scamming.
Right.
Whenever I made like that connection. So people are out here scamming.
And it's just so disheartening to me.
Yeah.
It's so disheartening.
Especially if you're just genuinely trying to help people. Like, they were going to genuinely try to be the hands and feet of Christ. There's a brother in need, especially, Black people. We be trying to support each other. And they were going to try to support him. But it's like, he was not legit.
First of all, I can't imagine even just messaging anybody asking for help. That's number one. And second of all, it's like, I mean, that's bold. That's bold.
That's bold.
It's
but
bold.
Then I think too, because I think he was lying about what he even was saying about being sick.
Was he at one of the things? Mm-mm. Oh, he wasn't.
No.
Okay.
And I think there are so many people who are obviously truly and really sick that need people to help. I think it's just another level of lowliness when you lie about being sick to get people to help you. Like, I think that's just very despicable.
But you know what? Even on like even when it comes to just the type of manipulation where they profess their love for you. Mm-hmm. And they tell you they want to be with you and this and that. And then really in the back of their mind, they're just like collecting all the women that they're saying the same stuff to because they want their ego, their ego stroked. And, it's just a scary world.
Yeah.
It's a scary world. I think that's what keeps me from even wanting to meet anybody. It's like, I always end up like thinking about like, do I know anybody that would be a good fit for me? Someone that I know is a good person.
Yeah. But
meeting somebody new just scares me.
It is scary. I don't want, and I know you're not like a living in fear type person. I don't want to feel like I'm living in fear either, even though people are out here doing all types of crazy stuff. I just always pray, and I feel like he does, and I'm sure God does for you too. I just always pray, God, if my eyes are blind to something, show me in any way that you see fit. Like, if there's something that I'm not seeing, if there's something I'm ignoring, if there's something I'm overlooking, now that I know what it's like to miss things, because these are not the types of prayers I was praying when I was younger and I was missing stuff left and right. But now I'm at a point where I'm just like, yes, like, I don't want to live in fear of how raggedy these people are because they're ultra super raggedy. But I just want God to show me, like, don't let me waste any time. Sure. Don't let me waste any resources. Don't let me waste any love or energy on someone that's really just trying to get over on me. Because I have a hard time with being skeptical. And I don't want to go into every situation with always being like,
that's me, and it's so hard not to be.
It's like, but
then I'm such a soft-hearted person though, so I'll go in there like I'll be all shielded up, and then my heart will soften, and then I'll start like, well. I mean, I don't like. I mean, sometimes I do just overlook somewhere, but I try to be like you were saying, like, well, I mean, just because he's in this place now doesn't mean he's always gonna be, Then you start like. You start humanizing people because everybody.
Yeah, because I'll be thinking about myself.
Exactly.
Like, what if someone was
I'm not exactly in the best position.
She's not, rich, or she's not balling, so she's not blah 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 blah. But it's like, no, I am stable.
Right.
Like, I'm doing what I need to do. I'm taking care of my children. I'm taking care of my household. I'm happy, and I'm always looking for what can I do to put my family in a better position. Like, I feel like I'm doing okay, but I know there's lots of people out there that's doing way better than me. So I wouldn't want someone to look at me and be like, oh, I should just get someone who, has more, who has designer stuff and who dresses a certain way. So then I try also not to look at people.
Especially during this time, because we're in such a unique season in the world. You know what I mean? Like, where everybody is almost, I feel like so many people are in transition. Even if they did keep their jobs, they're still like reevaluating. So it's kind of like, I don't know. But then we were talking about, you know, after our live, I don't know if we talked about it with you guys, but we were talking about how, you know, Black women have a tendency to settle for less or not.
Are you giving them a sneak peek of one of our next things that we're going to talk about when we were talking about getting remarried and all that stuff?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like we should do a separate video.
We definitely should do a separate video on that.
But say what you was going to say, but I was just...
But it's I mean, it's so true because it's such a double-edged sword. It's like, on one hand, I don't want to be the girl that wants to date somebody, or not wants to date somebody, but expects the man to have this, that, and the other, and, you know, have all this money, whatever. But then at the same time, it's like, why shouldn't I expect that? Like, why shouldn't I, you know, why can't I be with somebody who has all of that too? Like, it's not, there's no right or wrong necessarily, but it's like, just like Geraldine was saying, that we will talk about in a later video, it's almost looked down upon when, you know, Black women have those types of expectations. Yeah. And then all the white women are out here with all the rich men.
Because what I was saying to Shanna, we'll go into this in more detail in another video, but in my opinion, white women in general, not all, but in general, are more so raised and expected to go out and find or be with someone who is doing well.
They're going to take care of them.
And very often the woman is not expected to work. Like, the husband is going to be the breadwinner, and it's expected that she and the kids are going to be taken care of, and she's going to take care of the household. And white women are not called gold diggers when they do that.
But if we decided we wanted to be with someone, then it's the first thing a lot of y'all would say, gold diggers, gold diggers. You know, it's like, why though? Like, why does it have to be like, it's such a double-edged sword. Dating is so complex. And it's hard to know, even when you're like, you're trying to be open-minded, like what the right thing to do is. Like what's, I mean, the Lord will always speak to you. But then there's some, you know, sometimes it's like, well, what I've been doing, like you were saying earlier in this video, like what I've been doing isn't working. So let me try something different. So it's just so complicated. I think I just don't have the emotional energy. It's too much.
It is a lot.
It's too much. It's a lot. Because I did that, like obviously what I've been doing hasn't been working. So with, you know, the man that I was with after my ex-husband, I was like, let me go outside of my box and date somebody that I, you know, wouldn't normally date.
Gotcha.
And it was a great relationship for the most part. It just didn't work out. And then with Travis, I was like, let me do something a little bit different that I wouldn't do before. And so we moved in together, and like, ain't nothing working.
At times, I wish I had more experience, because my adult life has been consumed by only 2 relationships, my ex-husband and my son's dad. Because what I do is I get into relationships with people and I stay with them for long periods of time, because my thought process is very slow. Remember how we talked about like my getting comfortable with someone, getting to know someone. Like, everybody has a different rate at which they're able to do that. Mine's is not very fast.
I mean, it does take a long time to really get to know someone.
Yeah, so like causes me to like drag things out sometimes, maybe longer than I should, because I'm okay. Let me try again. Let me see if I can do this way. Let me see if did I really give my, and then it's like 8 years later.
Did I communicate that effectively?
Yes. It's like, I'm trying so hard to see if there's anything else I could do, that all this time is passing me by. So now it's like, I feel like I don't have as good of a frame of reference as I might like to have, because my dating life has been super limited.
I think that's going to serve you well, though.
You think so?
I think so.
Because I don't feel like it.
I mean, I've been in, you know, a handful of relationships, and like, I feel like a lot of my relationships have been short just because I don't want to waste time. And so, but I don't know. I don't know if there's a right or wrong.
Yeah.
You know, only God knows. But
because
the only thing
clearly we both sitting here, 2 totally different approaches, single than a mug.
And a lot of you can relate too. A lot of you have messaged me saying that you're in the same position, whatever. So it's like, we're not the only ones. And like, the only thing I know for sure is that if a person is meant for you, he will be there. He'll be back, or he will be, oh, that's probably what it was. Yeah. What's up, Burkos? The loves of my lives are cats.
and the loves of my lives are kids. Yes.
Mine's on the way.
So, yeah. So I think our next topic will be a little bit more about, we're going to expound on dating at different ages, what dating is like at different ages, what some of the different expectations are. We may get into a little bit of racial stuff with expectations. I think we're just going to be talking a lot about the expectations that are imposed on people and what dating is like as you age. And we're going to try to do that with some guys.
Also normalizing when relationships, when you date at our age and relationships don't work out, because the reality is, just because you meet somebody who's great doesn't mean that's the right person for you. So
you still have to go through the process no matter how old you are.
Absolutely.
Whether you're young, middle-aged, older, you still have to find out, is this going to work for me? And the answer is not always yes. Oftentimes the answer is no, because you got to keep looking until you find what it is that is right for you. And then it has to be also right for that other person, so y'all could bring it together. Because sometimes it could be right for them, but not for you. Or it could be right for you, but not for them. So be on the lookout for that. Yes. I think we put a nice little bow on that.
Okay, good. All right, guys. Let us know what you think. Have you ever been conned? Have you ever experienced a Tinder swindler of sorts?
Yeah. Have you ever even been approached on some bullshitty that you want to share with us? A funny story of someone who has slid into your DMs. Don't forget our email, RTTQuestions@gmail.com.
Yes.
So email us. You can visit either one of us on Instagram. You can leave us comments here, and we'll hopefully be doing another YouTube live here over the next couple of weeks. When we did that, it was super fun. It's still up.
It is.
Right?
Yep.
For you guys to watch if you didn't watch that. So the weather's getting ready to break. It always makes me feel like hope is reborn.
Right?
So we'll have a lot more coming you guys' way.
Absolutely. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next Real Talk Thursday. Bye.